Hello, everyone. We're actually going to cover some real news today, in particular, this 2024 Taichung Metro Attack, which recently occurred in Taiwan. The Wikipedia page reads that on the 21st of May, 2024, a Taiwanese man carried out a stabbing spree directed at passengers on a Taichung Metro train near Taichung City Hall Station. 3 people, including the attacker, were injured. Now, the interesting part about this isn't actually about the stabber or about their motive, but it's about the people who tried to stop the guy doing the stabbing. So now reading from Dexerto, Himmel, the hero, of course, from the popular anime Sousou No Frieren, inspires man to defeat knife-wielding attacker. Now, just from the surface level reading of it, it does really seem like a wacky story because imagine you're in this situation in which the stabbing is occurring right in front of you, and your motivation for trying to stop this madman is because a character from an anime you watch would have done the same thing. I genuinely cannot think of a parallel to a story which has occurred in the West. I think it's also in a blatant juxtaposition to what happens on the New York Metro, in which it seems crazy people are just allowed to do whatever they want to do without any repercussions. But in Taiwan, if anyone tries to pull that kind of stuff, otakus are ready to defend their fellow man. So reading on, a Taiwanese man who fought off a knife-wielding attacker on the Taichung Metro has quoted Himmel, the hero from Frieren Beyond Journey's End, as an inspiration for his bravery. On May 21st, 2024, passengers subdued a knife-wielding man who attacked people on a train in central Taichung, Taiwan. The attack occurred on the 10th anniversary of a deadly knife rampage on Taipei's metro, and 3 people were taken to the hospital for their injuries. Local news outlets interviewed the individuals who took down the attacker on June 4th, and officials awarded them medals for their bravery. In the interview, one man explains that Himmel influenced his actions. It's what Himmel, the hero, would have done, said the man through translation. I'll tell you what, it's a really cute good news story, but I think its implications are as follows, and I hope you'll entertain me as I outline them. One of the things that I like to say about anime is the reason why we from the West flock to it as a medium is because the same level of storytelling simply doesn't exist in the West, at least in modern Western media. A lot of Western media is about the destruction of the hero, right? And presents a really pessimistic view of the world. A lot of the progressive Western media, which is produced, no longer really celebrates the traditional hero archetype and really despises stories that promote it. It's all about creating your own meaning and own purpose and decoupling from the problematic past, because it's all about you now, which is why we flock to anime, because these stories in which a hero is celebrated and their achievements are continued to be remembered is something that it seems only exists in anime in the modern world. I think it's actually a beautiful thing that this guy's taken inspiration from this story, because it is for this reason that stories should be told. We shouldn't be in a place where we're watching something only for the writer to have nudged in and smushed in their own politics and how all straight white men are bad. Like, what's inspiring about a story like that? Why is that a story that we continue telling ourselves? What would inspire us to engage in telling that sort of story to our children and to young people, right? Hence why this is a clear example for which anime is really cool and still provides this sort of niche for which the West has seemingly lost. A quick side note too is that in my observation of these current European elections and in the UK election too, there's something interesting that I'm seeing among young people. For a whole decade, we as Gen Z have grown up in an era of secularism, in a sexual revolution, in a feminist and progressive era for which we have been told that we can create our own meaning, and it's time that we take off the shackles of the past. But what I'm seeing in these EU and UK elections is a rejection of that narrative. When Nigel Farage stands for reform and says that he's seeing a lot of young people wanting to vote for his party, it's not because they're a bunch of racists. It's because they represent a subsection of Gen Z who is looking for meaning and purpose and wanting to live in a country in which they can be proud of their national identity, for which the same can be observed across the European continent, where right-wing parties are polling incredibly high. So that's also the reason why anime is popular among Gen Z. It's a generation looking for purpose and meaning, for which that passion can most certainly be pointed to another direction. Though, as I say all of this, I think our key takeaway from this story as Christians is that while these stories from anime should inspire us to be heroic, to have bravery, to act like men, our ultimate motivation to engage in all of these sorts of things is because the love of Jesus compels us to love other people in that same way. I hope I don't catch any flack for saying this, but it is that sacrifice that Jesus displayed on the cross that should compel us in the same way to lay down our lives. And of course, we don't know what we would do in a situation like this until we're in it ourselves, but it It is our love for Jesus and our love for our fellow man that should overpower our love for our own body and our own self, to overpower our desire for self-preservation. And that doesn't start from the point that we're actually engaged in a dangerous situation, but this begins from our own personal lives, where we are engaging in an act of service first to the people who are around us. That should be our key takeaway. That yes, Himmel would have done the same thing, but more importantly, Jesus calls us to protect those who cannot protect themselves, lift up those who cannot lift up themselves, and to love those who remain unloved. Thank you for watching the video, and I do hope you take that with you for the rest of your day.